So yeah,
I've been blessed. I really have been
you
blessed.
have been blessed. There's nothing to
There's
be
two
blessed.
ways of being blessed in this business. One is just be able to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And now with TikTok and everybody with their social media nonsense, people can buy their own productions and become actors. Maybe they're good at
Mhm.
it, maybe they're not. Again, I'll contend that.
Well, look at the AI stuff. Pretty soon, you're just going to be able to create your own actors, and we're not going to even need people.
Uh,
It's
However,
kind of scary.
it worked out for me exactly right because I
Yeah.
started at an epicenter at a place where every day was 4 or 5 auditions. I was considered I was 100 and I was 200 pounds. I was considered, you might want to quit lifting weights because we can never see you playing a bank president or anything other than a goon. I'm like,
That's,
really? And now there's like everybody's
I mean,
whatever.
they said that to Arnold too. They said nobody's gonna know your name, nobody's gonna know this. You're too big. You're too that. You're gonna. I mean, it's like these things, these rules that are being thrown out. I'm sorry, they
No,
don't
they
really
don't.
hold water.
They don't.
They're they're kind of scary though because they can discourage actors from just being themselves, which is what you really want.
Or
That's
not.
what
You don't
you
want
want.
anyone to know what your real self is. You want to be everything other than that so that they can't
Yeah.
put you in a place, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I mean so now everybody can be an actor and I would not want to get into the world of it now. Back
Mm.
then, I mean, think about I had to drive through rush hour to pick up my sides. It's not like the
Yeah.
old guy and I had to climb 6 feet, in the snow every day.
Wow.
Just
No,
that there was no fax machine. There was
I
you
know.
go there and pick up your sides and learn them and then go back
You had
again
to
the next
show
day.
up, go park. If you were
Yeah.
in LA, you had to go park and you would come out and you'd be sweating or whatever. There's that movie Map to the Stars that David Cronenberg did, where he shows kind of Hollywood life in some ways. And they show one of the starlets. I think Julianne Moore played the part. And she's just like, I had to get up. And when I got to the audition, I was all sweaty and there was sweat all over me and I couldn't read, and so it's like, yeah, my generation has no idea how hard your generation had to go to what it was like because to be an actor, yeah, you had to go here to get sides. There wasn't, anyone can do it now.
Yeah, there's people that I've dealt with that are making their own content that I've helped do it. I'm
Mhm.
like, you have no clue, man. Every
Well,
one of
thank
the
you for doing it
every
because,
one of the things I've done, I've competed against the world. I I earned. I didn't buy. I didn't say, "Oh, you film me doing this." I
uh,
earned. I'm not saying that those people didn't earn their stuff too, because they still have to get a distribution deal and they still have to come up with the money. And there's a certain, a very much a hustle involved that. But to have to walk in and know that your whole livelihood depends on, and your wife doesn't go, "Okay, hon, you know what? That was a fun little dream for you to have. Now
yeah,
let's get a job selling furniture or whatever." Uh,
yeah,
I've been blessed. I
that's
didn't
great.
realize it until at my dad's funeral. So his cousins like, "Man, I can't believe I turned the TV on. I see you." My dad would call me and he'd go, "Man, I'm watching television and I swear everything I see you should be in. You're as good as every of these people, man. Well, why aren't you on TV? Why aren't you on more?" I go,
Yeah,
I just don't have the right agent. I just don't have the right
yeah.
agent." "Well, get one." "Okay, yeah."
I, uh,
It was like somebody goes, "Hey, you know what you need?" Cousin of mine says it to me. "You know what you need to do? You need to get on a TV show."
yeah.
Hold up. Let me
Oh
write
yeah.
that down because I never thought of
I-
it.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
let me do that. Yeah.
Wow.
You know what
What
you
a
need? You gotta
concept.
go. You gotta go to LA and you gotta talk to so and so here. You could do that, you could be in that movie, Yeah, it's like, oh wow. Oh, I mean, you don't want to be mean.
Normal.
What was Daredevil like? That film. I mean,
Daredevil
not the
was
film, the TV show.
TV, so it
Yeah.
was one episode. It was the last episode before they pulled the plug. Lucky me.
Mm.
That was that.
Did you
Police
did you get to
commissioner. Yeah,
did
I
you get
did.
to work with Drew Goddard?
I did not. I'm not
Mhm.
sure. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But I mean, it was so last minute, last shot.
Yeah.
Uh, I was police commissioner of New York City when I went to wardrobe. I knew that I was going to have part of consequence because they measured me for 3 suits.
Mhm.
4 shirts, a
Yeah.
windbreaker, all that. Usually that's an indicator of how much they intend to use you. And then that was over with. That plug was pulled. So that was very sad to me. And then I thought I was a police commissioner in New York City and the whole Marvel world. And,
No, just that place.
yeah, but
Did
no,
you get
whatever.
to work with D'Onofrio or, like,
No, 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 no. I
you
was just
I
in one scene in a room where they were talking about. I
yeah,
can't.
I watched it.
Yeah,
I watched the scene, I tracked it down
yeah, yeah. It was
and
just
watched
one
was that
episode.
I thought that was an interesting, show concept. I thought they brought a real gritty feel to,
Yeah,
superhero, especially Marvel, where it was I mean, that's what I like about Daredevil. He's kinda like their Batman, where it's very dark, you know?
yeah.
He's
I don't.
fighting
I
crime.
never. I'm not a fan of any of those. I'd like to be.
That's cool.
I just. I'm too old for it. I guess. I'm not sure.
I don't know if you're too old for that, but anyways, but, Brass Knuckles, tell me a little bit about your short. I tried to find it, I could only find
It's
bits
on
and pieces
Venmo.
of it. It's on
Uh,
Vimeo? Okay.
yeah. So I had a company with there was a guy that I knew who called and said, "Hey, I'm going on this audition at some guy's house, and he's doing a mob genre thing, and you should be there." And I'm like, "Hey, look, if I didn't hear about it, it's non legit, right?"
Mm,
So the long and short of it is, I called him as a joke, and I said, "Hey, so I don't know if you know who I am, but the state of Florida mandates any mob genre movie that goes down in Florida, I have to be in. That's life. It's not fair, but that's the way it goes." And he laughed, and he knew me from clubbing, right? And
mm,
so I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And he said, "I want to do this thing. It's called a Mob King, about a guy who gets out of jail and so on and so on." And I said, and the way he talked about it, he had a good cinematic point of view of it. And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll help you do that if you'd like." "Well, that'd be fantastic." And I said, "Who's going to be the star?" He said, "Me." And I said, "Okay. Well, I know about 12 different people that I could bring that I respect in this town, and I'll bring them all to a meeting, and we'll sit down and talk to you, see who wants it." Everybody passed. Everybody passed. They said, "Why aren't you playing this guy?" "It's not my money." I said, "But ultimately, we're in a position where we can help this guy see his dream come to reality, and whether it's we can craft a thing around him." And I'd like that challenge. So we did 5 episodes, and we did them as a mini web series. And I was also a international Emmy judge, and went to their symposium, and that was the first time that they had short form content as a category. And I talked to some of them German producers, and I said, "What is the deal?" And they said, "No, no." We had pretty much all of those things. And this guy, Cyril DePaggio is his name, was really unbelievably driven, and was the guy who went out and became the Carney Barker and amassed 200,000 followers. And I was like, yeah, man, I would be embarrassed to do what you're doing, telling people how great I am and how great this show is. All that, I can't be that guy. And somebody that I used as a director, eventually we became adversarial because he no longer wanted to share that, and was constantly, there was a three-way chasm, and it wasn't. So we said, we'll do this 5 and we'll wait and see. And then this original guy kind of got misled, and when I called him on it, it's a long story, but it didn't work out. And I said, "Well, let's try another franchise." I said, "No, so I've got 2 ideas for you." I was a showrunner. I wrote
mm,
pretty much 9/10 of it, and this other director would write some 2 or 3 lines and then take credit as a co-writer. uh, he would set the camera up. I was responsible for the performances and whether I liked it, whatever. It was a great team, a great synergy. And I said, "So it's going to be one of the human trafficking is huge, or bullying is the second thing." And I said, "And I would like to position you as somebody who's less extreme than you are. And I would like for it to gather a whole new audience for you. So I'm going to write this thing about 2 brothers And one of them, I was in New York, and it was all about this leniency that New York had. This very left wing. So I chose to be this single parent whose daughter's great, and she's going to have a birthday party, and she's going to eat cake for the very first time. And she's 16 years old, and her menstrual cycle is so specific because she's never had dairy in her entire life. So please come, and blah blah blah. And we find out that she's being bullied in school, and my brother says, "You need to. They're not afraid of you. You need to take these brass knuckles, and when that girl punches you again, knock her out, and then everything will change." Which presupposes that violence is the answer to it.
Yeah.
And that all that's going to, well, that's how drive-by shootings escalates, that's how war escalates. And what I wanted it to be is, I wanted it to be like when I went to Memento, and I saw it by
Mm.
myself, and I came out in Manhattan, and I was like, I need to talk to somebody. I wanted people to have like, well, so I wanted to engage them in the dialogue at the end of it. It was like, well, see, but that's not the answer. So she hits, it's called Brass Knuckles. It's available on Venmo. You can type it
Okay.
in. It's a 20-minute short. It won a Best Picture award in Hell's Kitchen Film Festival. But the ending of it was problematic because the director was tardy, and they didn't know what their setup was, and they forgot to hit
Mm.
action a couple times. And I'm
Wait, wait, wait,
trying
wait,
to,
wait, wait. They
yeah,
forgot to hit action?
they forgot to turn the camera on. I'm, well, what about that shot? Well, we don't, soft focus. Well, we didn't hit record. It was just a cluster mess. So
Wow.
one shot of this girl after she punches the bully, and she goes on this tyrant, and she screams and squares, and it seems as though she's going to turn into Buford Pusser and go on a rampage, right? She flips out, which is not the movie that I wanted, which is not the movie that I wrote, which is not the
Yeah.
movie that I thought we were all on board with. Well,
So they
it seemed
changed it.
so so they just let this girl riff, and she goes into this thing, and they leave it like that. And I said, this, no, this is terrible. I can't show this to a PTA meeting. I can't show this to a police department. I can't show this to anybody. This is not the message. The message is, you have to look at it and go, oh my God, oh
Yeah.
wow, she is so screwed now, right?
Yeah.
Um,
She made the wrong choice,
she
kind of
made the wrong
thing.
choice because she was told to make the wrong choice
Yeah.
by my brother, who wasn't as passive, who didn't play by the rules, right? And 9/10 of the people in the world truly believe that all you need to do is fight back. That's all you need to do.
It's
And
very
it's
scary.
insane.
Yeah.
It's, what if you're in a wheelchair? What if you're, most of the people that are bullied are inferior physically, right?
I know.
Or they're different physically. So I said, you know what? So they said, we're going to release this because I need numbers, and I want the same numbers, and my audience will bring you these things. I said, well, the whole point of this is not to bring your audience, it's to bring a new audience. It's to
Yeah.
get people to engage and interact and figure out what childhood bullying needs to, what, how to make it happen, how to make it stop. I don't care about adult bullying. You're old enough. I don't give, sorry, what your problems are. If you need a comfort poodle, get one, but
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for you. So I decided that I was going to, I started this anti-bullying page,
Yeah.
Antoni Corone, Stop Bullying Now. And my publicist at the time, Sharon Matthews, was unbelievably helpful. And we got a lot of people that were moderators on it, and it worked out well. But all I got was 3 responses every single time. This was the first one. Thoughts and prayers. This was the second one. Fight back, man. Kick his ass. And this was the third one. This must stop. This is just not right. And
No
each time,
solutions. No
uh,
solutions.
no,
Just
no, 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 no. And when
yeah.
I would say, okay, you know what? If your son came home, or your daughter came home with a bloody nose, do you want, or she was laying in the street and I was walking past her, do you want me to be proactive? Or do you want me to just say a prayer over her and walk away? Do you honestly think that that energy is going to change anything? What you've done is you've transposed your own personal ideas of, like, you're saying, well, you know what, you may not even do the thoughts or the prayers. You just may write that little thing and put the prayer up, and that's
Yeah.
what you think your energy is. Have you written a letter to your congressman? Have you attended a school board meeting? Have you? And
But
guess what?
isn't that's kind of politics in this
But guess
country? I
what?
mean,
Guess
you
what?
know.
I now they were like, "Oh my God, you're a bully." They were calling me a bully because I was trying to say, get busy, do something, have a solution. The point of this was to gauge, and you
Yeah.
can't do it by violence. And so Brass Knuckles was all about proof that you can't do it by violence. And if you saw it at the end, you'd be like, "Oh wow, my ending would have been different than the ending that you
Yeah,
see."
I
And when
like
I
your ending better. It's more of an ambiguous ending, and it says something about
My ending is
where how's she gonna end.
the girl punches the girl that's the bully falls back, cracks her head, blood's coming out of her head. She's
Yeah,
spazzing out as though she's going through some kind of seizure. And then the girl sees what's happened and she looks at everybody and she freaks out and screams, drops the bass knuckles, and just runs away.
yeah,
That's my ending. But their
yeah,
ending was she was like, "Yeah, go, you want a piece of me?"
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
like
nah, nah,
that.
nah, nah. And it was like, no, this is not it. So we became adversarial,
Yeah,
both
I can
my
see
two
that.
partners and me. I'm like, I'm not, I don't want to. I will. And they said, well, we're not, we don't want to be in business with you anymore. So they went on their own and they created their own franchise. It wasn't Brass Knuckles. It was, they took the whole Mob King thing that we had done and
Mm,
they changed it and rebooted it to exclude me. And they said, "Do you want to be included?" I said, "There's no need to be included. Let's pick it up where we left off. You're doing something that's wow. I just don't believe it." So, long story short, they did it. They made me a
yeah,
producer on it just so that I perhaps can't sue them for the, the characters that I created that they chose to use,
yeah,
and I'm cool with that. Like they did it for 300 ish, 400 ish, I don't know, 200 ish, and they'll sell it. It'll be
yeah,
on a streaming platform as filler, if nothing else. I've seen worse, I've seen better, but God bless them. So they're in the
yeah,
world. So maybe later on we'll realign each other with us, but that's that story. Saddened me to the point where I no longer want to create content. I no longer care. I don't want to play the game. I don't, you know what I mean? If I This is
yeah,
what it is. This is what it, I thought we were all on board, and there's
yeah,
too much
yeah.
ego,
No,
too much ego.
I mean, I like yours. I like your ending better. I think another ending you could have done is just she hits her. You see them spazzing out. You see them all looking around, and she's just kind of distraught because she's now realized that what she's done can never be like undone. And then I think you could just like fade out, and then just have like the sounds of what's going on, of like the ambulance or something coming to get him. No music, and then
That
the
was
credits roll
my
that
ending.
way.
That's the ending that I wanted. That's not the ending
Uh,
that they shot and kept, because all the all
yeah,
of the biker types, all of the bully types, all of the beater up types loved it. And when we showed it at a premiere, we showed it at a premiere with a full house.
that's
People were
fine.
like, "Yeah, yeah, kick her, beat her up! Oh my God, I can't believe it!" My real daughter plays the bully, and she spits on this my fake daughter's face, and that was like, "Oh man, it's on!" So she puts the
Yeah,
brass knuckles on. She turns around, and cracks her, blam! She falls down, and at that
yeah,
moment, the whole house went, "Oh, oh my God,
yeah,
oh wow, oh, I never thought of that." She dies. She turns into for the rest of her life, she's an invalid in a wheelchair because of it. Now what? Did that solve anything?
yeah.
Not at all. And as the series would have gone on, I have a ton of storyline ideas, and they didn't want to touch it. Nobody wants to touch it. There's no clear
Well, it
chain of
sounds
title.
like it sounds like, yeah, difference of opinions, and also, you wanted to really make a stance with this, and they kind of wanted it to just degenerate into revenge is always the
Yeah,
best
that's all
case.
they did, yes.
Yeah,
And I wanted to be able to go on tour with it. I wanted to show it. I wanted to be a little less R-rated. But in order
yeah,
for me to do it, I had to have a couple things in play. I had to have this guy's car. I had to have this guy's car that he was leasing it from shop. I had to have these two
yeah.
actresses. I had to have all of those things, and it had to be mob genre esque.
I know.
Uh,
I get. So that's what Mob King kind of became too.
Mob
Is
King, well, the new Mob King is, yeah, but the first I can't even where if you can find was I thought, and again, it's my ugly baby, but our collective ugly baby is a guy who gets out of prison for basically being a stand-up guy in the mob, and he's got a strip club that he runs. And if it falls apart, he has to still pay for the vig, regardless of what it is. And he's got a wife and a daughter. Daughter's a heroin addict, and he can't control the three things closest to him, and that's his life right there. It was all about him trying to manipulate himself through that world.
Mhm.
Uh, so each
Wh
episode was, I think, 8 minutes long. It won a variety of awards, bunch of awards, uh, non-effective awards, nonsense
Yeah.
awards, but
Yeah, there's
still
an award for
awards.
everything, you know,
Yeah, awards
there's an award
nonetheless. Yeah, you get
there's
an
an
award.
award for now tying your shoe.
It's a award for making sure that you fill the seats in the thing and they throw you the bone because you did that. Because that's all film festivals are. 90% of them
Yeah,
are just a way to be able to fill a theater and charge money on it.
yeah,
But whatever.
yeah. Tell me a little bit because you did All the Way with, Bryan Cranston. You played yeah, J. Edgar Hoover,
No, it wasn't with
correct?
Brian. It was a Florida version of it.
Oh, it was the Florida version of it. Tell me about All the Way then.
So all the way is an ambitious thing if you're playing LBJ. Hugely
So
ambitious.
you played LB so you no, you
No,
played J. Edgar
I
yeah,
play Hoover. Yeah,
yeah.
and so there's a guy that I did a movie with that was a theater guy. There's an award system here called the Carbonells, which is
I know
like
all about him.
okay, and so everybody's like, who are you doing this movie with? And they're like, these two theater guys. And one of them couldn't find his mark very well, and like would lean in and whatever wasn't me. So I go, hey, and they go, he's won 3 Carbonells. Yeah, I don't even know what that is, bro. So I'll be like, hey, Carbonelli, can you find your mark? I mean, like, hello, this is how
Yeah,
this works, right? Uh, and I guess it was bullying, but I was that character, so I was playing it, sort of being
yeah.
Sean Penny, I guess, whatever. And I said,
"Is
yeah,
that my daughter?"
I could win one of those. I guarantee I could win. All I got to do is do a play.
Yeah,
So somebody that I had worked with, Loving the Bad Man, was spiritual Christian movie, and one of the actors in it ran a theater down here and called me and said, "Hey, would you mind being in Our Lady of 121st Street?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to, just to do a play and see it." I hated it. I hated the whole process. It was like we were in the midst of a rehearsal first time, and I go, "Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I'd stand here to the." Well, you can't stop the rehearsal now. You have to go through the whole scene. Well, what's the point? It's not working right now. So I was used to getting on a set and seeing my set and going, okay, this is all the stuff that I have to
yeah,
interact with. I have to make up that decision right now. I have to make it appear as though these are all my thing. Snap, dude, remember what you're doing, and not like,
yeah,
so, now you need to stand on the left, and now you need to move over
yeah,
here, and now you need to move over here so that the whole
yeah,
thing flows. uh, and then after that, I said, well, you know what, maybe I should do plays because it made money. So uh, I tried out for All the Way, and I got Hoover. And I and just to screw with the theater community, because I'm so not the theater community,
yeah,
and to further my brand of being oh, you need a jerk, I got just the guy for you. Yep, that's me. I love that. I mean, I go out of my way to do that. People that know me really know that I'm so not that way. Like, I could be,
yeah,
but so I decided to ask the wardrobe guy. He goes, well, let's measure you for stuff, and I did it in front of everybody. I said, yeah, I want ladies' underwear too. I wear a size large women's underwear. So I wore ladies' underwear as Hoover for the whole 7 days of the play. Yeah, that's right, guys. Look, check it out. That's me.
that's funny. I like that. Did you
Mike,
did you enjoy when you were on stage, did you enjoy that process of it? When it was, like, all, ready to go? No?
yeah, kind of no more than film, not less than
Okay,
film. I think
interesting.
same kind of. My children, they're not adults. They're like 20 and 23, and my
Mhm,
wife came to see it. They wouldn't let anyone
yeah.
that I knew come and see the first one because I was scared to death, really scared to death of doing a play. I don't know why. I just was.
You just scared because it's just a new arena?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just like didn't know because because it was like, so I know what the frame is and I know what I can do within that
Yeah,
box, right? And I don't have to own the entire thing. I know in essence I do because everything comes from
yeah,
the center. But you can't stand here. Now you're standing and you're fully exposed to everything.
I would have told you. I would have directed you. Be like, well, think of it more as like a wide shot. If it's a wide shot,
Yeah, it was a
we
constant
can
wide
see.
shot.
But
And
it's a constant wide shot.
yeah, it's a constant wide shot, and unlike the close up, there are places you can't. So what do you do when you want that place where it comes in on you? How do you sell that? And so it's so over rehearsed that it's by rote at a certain point. And then people will say, well, it's up to you to keep it interesting, to entertain yourself and make it true to the first one. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. I got it. Okay, I did it. I'll do it again and again and again. Yeah, yeah, yawn. It just didn't
But the
interest me.
thing that happens, if you do it, long enough, is eventually you'll stop thinking about it and wrote, and it will become. You can almost make it new every night. It's all about kind of projecting the energy. But yeah, it's a different arena. But seeing as how you are on set and everything, I mean, yeah, you would have been fine because you're not you're as I told you, you do have a lot of poise when you're doing just in your camera work. So I would just bring that. You just bring that to the stage, but just there's no camera on you, but I don't know. If I
That's
would
pretty
have
much
said
how
like,
that's how I approach this. I just didn't like the process. I didn't like the
eh,
process of rehearsing it. In
yeah.
fact, I made this stupid statement of like, "Yeah, a dog could do a play, man." That didn't endear me very well.
Yeah, that
Uh,
gonna make you happy, and yeah, and the Carbonell Award goes to
yeah,
come on,
see,
Anthony Corone. But I just got to be honest with you,
yeah,
a dog can do
this,
this.
this, yeah, this is nonsense. Thank you.
This is gonna
Later.
be a choice. This is gonna be. I'm gonna go give this to my dog right now. It's a chew toy.
I'm gonna smelt it down and make sinkers for my fishing pole.
Talk a little bit about is Curio DiPaggio Productions?
That's
Is
the
that the
guy.
same?
So
That's the same
no,
guy. Okay.
yeah, that's the guy. So he's got the wherewithal, and he's aligned himself with a bunch of people, and over and over and over, and keeps banging his head against the wall. Ciro DiPaggio is a wonderfully driven guy, and now
Mm,
he's aligned himself with people that he believes will be able to help him bring more projects to fruition. And
mm,
I'm not sure if he wants to be a producer or an actor or both, but everything that he does, he has to be in. So I would say that he wants to be an actor.
mm,
He's a natural. Um,
mm,
I'm a fan of his in many ways, and he's a wonderful human being too. Uh, but so he's put me on as a part of the creative partner of it.
mm.
I'm not sure if I am or not really.
Yeah.
I mean, when push comes to shove, I if I've developed a couple things, a biker series
Mm.
that sort of fell apart. Um, who knows down the road what could happen, but he's a great guy. He really is. Ciro DiPaggio, big fan.
What would you like to do that you haven't done yet?
Drive a choo choo train. This one. I want to drive a choo choo train.
Drive a
In the
choo-choo
in the industry,
train.
what I would like to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to make a ton of money.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would like to do. I would like to be aligned enough with whomever those people are that make those decisions to uh, to be in that game.
Mm,
And that's the problem that I have. It's not. I'm not going to say it's a lack of talent. I will say that I've gotten away with. I think someone pointed it out to me 40 or 30 some times working with Academy Award, Emmy Award, SAG Award winners or nominees or DGA
yeah.
winners. And that's a big feat in itself. That's very valuable. So I'd like to think that I'm valid. It's just, and when I did We Own the Night, I knew some of the extras from Oz and other shows that I've done. I was like, you know what? These guys, any of them probably could have done my part. They just didn't get a chance to read for it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of talented people in New York that just never get a shot because they don't have the right representation. And
Yeah.
I'm too old to. That's what I would like if I was with Gersh or Endeavor or one of those. I or Buckwald. I think I would have had an opportunity to go bigger or
Mm,
just whatever. So uh, And people like Ted Danson who are like constantly on TV, I don't get that. How does that happen without producing your own stuff? So, and part of it is
Yeah.
you have to produce your own vehicles. You have to have that
Yeah.
network of stuff. And I've been on the periphery, living in Florida mostly and New York. They're not epicenters. So all of the friends that I've made over the years, if I started in Los Angeles, I may have been friends with all those guys that could have been like,
Mm.
every time I read for somebody, I'll read for, like a Jason Statham movie or something. Okay, so you got Jason's stunt double and his whole posse, the director's whole posse, Jason's buddies on every movie. How am I, stranger, going to fit into that world unless I've got some kind of TV television quotient that can bring me in? And that no
Yeah.
longer exists anymore. The only thing that matters is people that have what 5,000 onky donkey followers, or I'm a TikTok star,
Yeah.
or tell you how to wear fake eyelashes. It's all nonsense. It's total nonsense to me. But
Yeah.
I'm the old guy now. It's that's the news cachet. You have to be able to bring, and I get that. My mom owned a beauty salon. She would hire people that had a following. That's the whole
Yeah.
deal. I get half of what you make, man. So if I don't have a following, really, I'm not
Yeah.
proactive on any of them. I'd like to be Larry David. That's what I'd like to be.
Yeah. He would be perfect on one of his shows. I could see.
Oh, I
Um,
thought of for a while of having my own show when my son
uh,
was younger. I would say, "Well, look at my face. Is this a happy face or an angry face?" It's an
yeah.
angry face, Dad. Okay, so that's an angry face. Now, you can't fall for an angry face every time because you'll end up being codependent. However, so I was like, that's the kind of dad I was. Where the poor kid, he's so
Yeah.
confused. Like, I love you,
Yeah.
but
It's
I have
like
no
I
idea
don't
what I'm
know.
supposed to do. You're just constantly criticizing me.
Maybe like Louis C.K. a little bit too.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you have a beginning of the day routine?
I open my eyes and I try to not get thrown in Facebook jail from all the memes that I harvest. And I have a frozen shoulder that only goes up that high and that far. So I cannot swim anymore. Both my knees are shot. They need replacement, so I cannot run anymore. My back was broken in a car stunt, so I can't really do it. So what I do is I try to do two sets of those wheels. I do like
Mm,
sets of 15 where you stretch all the
mhm.
way out on your knees,
Yeah.
and I do some rubber band things, and then I do I can't believe it, and it's difficult, 50 toe touches every
That's
morning
good.
and some lunges, and then I have these fish. I bought two guppies, and I've got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 tanks of them. And I'm like a mad scientist. I've created all these
Ah.
muppies, and they're everywhere, and they're beautiful. And I just keep the males now. And I wade through gator infested water and get these weeds, and I rinse them very thoroughly so there's no parasites
You see all the lizards and everything? I mean,
oh
there's so many
yeah.
lizards in
I, I,
Florida.
I was
It's
very into lizards. I used to catch them, lizards. I got the
really
tip of my finger bit off by one big one. My kids were with me that day.
yeah.
Somebody called and said, "Hey man, I need some iguanas for this movie that I'm doing. Could you tell me who your iguana guy is?" I go, "You're not going to be able to afford him. Doug's really, yeah, Doug's a great guy. I met him on Bad Boys too." And I said, "But my kids, if you give them credit and they'll do it, how much will they charge?" I go, "$100. They'll charge $100. Both." So okay, so we went out and we caught iguanas, and my daughter was maybe 7, and my son was 10, and they had camouflage pants on, and we put the iguana in big head was like this, body was like that,
Big thing,
huge
yeah.
iguana. And we had another one and another one and a stuffed animal, and we put a towel on ice and then iced him down so his metabolism, and she give the speech. So when I caught
Yeah.
it, I used a noose to stand, did a death roll, and I was taking the thing and it turned around and it bit my finger right here at the tip. And I yanked it out, it was just like a serrated thing, and blood just dripping, dripping, dripping from my hand.
Yeah.
So we went to the fire department. It's dripping. I'm driving the car, and my blood's dripping all over the car. And my daughter's going, "Are you okay, Daddy?" Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. Sure. Good thing it didn't bite you like that, guys. Yeah, yeah, sure is. Go to the fire department. The fire goes, what happened? I go, I got bit by an iguana. Was it yours? Well, for a few moments it was. So they sprayed it, and my fingers flapping in the water. I had to
Yeah.
go and get a tetanus shot and get it sewn in. Whatever, man.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm
wow.
one of those guys. I want to go on a python hunt.
Yeah. Although
Yeah,
they got a lot of snakes too, so you'll find them
yeah, yeah.
in
I like
Florida.
the Everglades. I go there all the time.
Florida's got everything.
Yeah. So that's what I do. And then I lounge about in the pool on a raft and try to get a tan with all the senior citizens here at this condo that I have while my wife is at work. And then I go
Yeah.
home and lift weights in the backyard and
Cool.
wear myself out so that they go, okay, we're leaving now. My kids don't hang out with me anymore. They're too cool. They got boyfriends and girlfriends.
That's funny.
My
Do
wife's
you
a
have a
first
night?
grade. Our night,
Oh,
yeah, smoke cigar and listen to audiobooks.
cool.
Yeah,
Anything in
that I'm
particular?
list that all I no, usually best sellers, stuff like that. I don't have a Wilbur Wilbur Smith was one that I really he writes all these he's a historical novelist. He like Egyptian stuff in Africa, how Africa was a they were wonderfully entertaining.
Yeah.
Then I read the Bosch stuff for a while. Thought I should have been Harry Bosch. I thought I could have pulled that off, but I wasn't in the
Yeah.
world, you know. Uh, I'd listen to like astrophysics stuff and
Really?
DeGrasse Tyson. And,
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
great.
I love
Is
him.
it-
Very entertaining guy. And I never was a fan of Carl Sagan until recently. And the Bill Bryson book I've listened to 80 times. The History of Everything. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah,
Wow,
I know who Bill Bryson is, but yeah, I
that
haven't
guy's
actually read that book. I need
unbelievable.
to.
So yeah, I listen. I smoke a cigar. I listen to an audiobook, and I like some of Joe Abercrombie's stuff, like the first sword kind of Game of Thronesy, whatever.
Hmm,
Uh, I'm listening to a Palin, a shock author thing now.
cool.
Stephen King's. If I'd like to write a novel, maybe someday.
You should.
Yeah, maybe. I have an idea for one.
You wrote a script.
I
Just
wrote a couple
add some more.
scripts. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is scene by scene. But the novels, that's a bigger challenge because you have to have it all interweave. I get it. And Stephen King is unbelievable. I've read a book by his that he paid homage to every like maybe 10 different authors in their style.
Man.
His
But
wow.
he's been doing it for like how long? So I mean, when you get there, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. But I like the way he writes because he's immature. He writes like he'll
yeah,
put like jingles in. If I
yeah,
could write, if I would say that would my style would be his.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Stephen King. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
Do you meditate?
No,
Okay.
I mean I do. I mean, what is meditate? I don't like sit there and and hold my hands and
I mean,
cross
you
my
don't have
legs.
to. I mean, it's basically, meditation could
At
be
the end of the
anything.
day, I go, was I a jerk? Why?
Okay.
How much of a jerk was I? Why was I? Am I entitled to be a jerk? So is that meditation?
I mean, that's a form of self-reflection. So
Self-reflection.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of meditation in some ways.
So yeah, I do that. Exercise was a way for me to be out of that
Yeah.
hour-long bike ride, like spinning in little gears, like
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that purges me. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. I love to sleep. That's
Uh,
my favorite thing to do.
what do you? Wow, that's great. That's the hardest thing for me to do.
I love sleeping.
I got one of those Halo things from I don't want to say the names the TV will turn on, but the AMAZON
Oh
company,
yeah.
where it measures your sleep.
Oh
And
wow.
like the other day, I looked at it and it's like, what is this? There's like this space and it says you were up from here to here, and I'm like, but I don't remember that. Am I
Wow.
getting up or whatever? Because it
Yeah.
measures your deep sleep,
Your
your light
REM, right?
sleep, and your REM. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I would have no idea about anything. Like for the longest time, I thought, oh, I'm getting like 7 hours of sleep, and then I looked at this and I was like, oh, wow. This
I have
is
a micro
a real
cassette recorder
issue for me.
full of my dreams. I have a let. I just write them down. I dream. I have
Mm.
recurring dreams. I get kind of what
Really?
they're for. And that's why it was difficult to wake up when I was a kid because my dreams were so vivid. It'd be like being plucked out of this reality and thrust into another one.
Really?
No, that's not fair, man. I was in the middle of this thing. I'm in a position now where I can fight anyone and win. I can be shot
Yeah.
and deflect the bullets and win. I can fly and land wherever I choose. There's a
I
long
love that
path.
about, like, dreams, yeah, you'll wake up and you'll be like, "Wait a minute, I like that one, let me go back. How do I go back to the dream?" You know?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I am a lucid dreamer. I've dreamt that.
Really?
Yeah, I've dreamt that I've read books while I'm reading the books, going, "Oh my God, this is a great book. Wait a minute, I'm dreaming. So I wrote this book. I got to remember this book." And then I'd wake up and it's gone.
So
I
you
would,
can so you've been able to attain some knowledge through lucid dreaming. Wow.
yeah, a lot of things come to me that sleep on it. It's all about burrowing furrows in your neural passages. And that's why the deeper those furrows are, sleep on it is the thing. Dreams are actually a way for us to purge all of the nonsense and our minds
Yeah,
try to string them together into sort of a practical narrative. That's why they're so nonsensical. But
yeah.
and I have a book of what they supposedly mean. I dream often about people that are dead, like friends of mine from high school or relatives. Like, man, I dreamt of another dead guy. What in my dream? That guy was he's been dead for 12 years. Well, why the heck would he be in my dream? I never even think of him.
Wow,
Yeah, it's weird.
that's fascinating. No, I find dreams fascinating. So, I mean, that's something I would like to do is lucid dreaming, but I mean, I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a part of your like before you go to sleep. If you can think about it, there's a place where you know you're going to nod off, right? Where all of a sudden
yeah,
you like something happens. It's a spacey kind of place to get. I can keep myself in that place for a pretty long time. That's not the lucid dreaming, but then what
yeah,
happens
but
is
you,
there's a litany of memories in that subconscious
yeah,
part of my mind that I'm tapped into. I go, oh, that's that dream over there. That's that dream. That's that dream. That's that dream. And if I can find those dreams on when I'm awake, that means I'm overexerted and stressed.
that's where a lot of people want you to meditate when you that right
Yeah.
between those the delta brain waves, which is
Yes.
kind of where you're at. If you can do that, I mean, I sometimes will fall asleep when I get to that point because it's so But you're right.
That's the beginning of it.
That's the beginning of it.
Yeah.
That's
That's like
awesome.
walking into the water. And then, that's a whole nother world. And reality is a perception. We can go on and on in the
Yeah.
philosophical stuff like that, but
Well, I love that
memory.
you're into that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I
I
use my mind a lot, a real lot, and I would have liked to have been an astrophysicist or a
yeah.
microbiologist, maybe, but math part of it is.
I mean,
Uh,
that's what Jim Carrey, really taps into is that form of creation, and there's a lot of books that have been written about, the law of attraction and getting out of our own way that has kind of been hidden by science is they don't really want people to realize that people do have this level of control. It's kind of interesting when you get into it. A lot of scientists will, keep be like, well, that's just, they label it pseudoscience.
yeah,
And there's a book called The Source, which talks
I'll have
about,
to look into
that.
it.
And I'm reading this, and also reading this book called The Field about Lynn McTaggart, where she talks about, the field around us and how there's energy around us and all these scientists who came and found these things. And then it would be like, this guy would find this, and then they'd be sent down to one, or they would be excommunicated, and then somebody else would pick up the work. I kind of feel like we're like right on the precipice of like where
All we
that
need is
science.
another instrument to measure it. There's so much that we're not cognizant of. A
Yeah.
mantis shrimp can see every color in the spectrum. We can only see,
Yeah.
Roy G. Biv. Uh,
Yeah.
but energy is energy, and it doesn't dissipate. And
Right?
who knows? There could be multi. I went through a Catholic school, as I said, for 8 years, and I ended
Yeah.
up being spiritual to some degree, but definitely I can't imagine there's a great puppeteer in the sky controlling everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
now we're getting into like dogma,
yeah, no.
the dogmatic. I think that's kind of where a lot of religion gets lost is in the dogma. But that's neither here nor there. What about what are you reading? You kind of already answered this, but you know.
Um, you know, I share books with my daughter, and I just read the
Mhm.
Lincoln Highway, and I shared that with her. I liked the way it was, and Tess of the D'Urbervilles was the one that I liked too. But man, I can't remember his name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. He was one of the people who configured the periodic table. Relatively new weightlifter. He was gay. He had what the Robin Williams coma thing was about him.
Oh, the what dreams may come or whatever.
What's his
What
name?
dream? I for, I forget what it is, but I know what film you're talking about.
Yeah, but that guy, there's like 5 or 6 different books. I used to listen. I listened to Radio Lab, Jad Abinrod and Robert Coleridge. Have you ever heard that podcast?
No.
It's an hour long. It's unbelievably well done. Well done. Uh, he's been on it several times. Gosh, I wish I could remember his name.
I can look it up. I will definitely look it up.
He was a
Okay.
neurosurgeon. Hmm, whatever.
Interesting. Fascinating. What do you answered this already, but I was more pertaining to music. What are you listening to right now?
I'm listening to your lovely voice. I listen to ambient, deep
You like
house.
ambient?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I love.
I made some deep house. It
I
was
saw
therapeutic.
that.
Yeah, it was
I
therapeutic.
was going to ask you about that. But that's
There's
awesome. Yeah.
there's a couple. I think one's on YouTube. Shoot, man, Light Years. It was like it's got a cool beat, but I took the whole cosmos and go and macro out and out and out and out and out. And I use another name, an alternate name, and
Mm,
that name for my EDM is
in my
Biscotti. Myth Biscotti was my grandfather's name on my dad's side. Uh, and if I had it to do all over again, I would have should have chosen that as a stage name because Myth is an angry and Biscotti is a sweet little biscuit. That's me, an angry, sweet
the
little
yin and
biscuit.
yang, Biscotti.
And by the way,
Antoni Biscotti. But then when I hear that name, I think of like Little Miss Muffin is
yeah,
coming to
but it wouldn't
coming
have
to
been.
audition for me.
No, it wasn't Anthony. It was Myth. That's his first name. That's my first name,
Oh, you were
Myth.
gonna take the full. Oh, the Myth Biscotti. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
I thought
use
that
that.
was like. I thought that would have been like the last name and be like, oh, here comes
Yeah,
Antony Myth Biscotti.
no, just Myth Biscotti. And then
Myth
I have a
Biscotti could work.
yeah, and I have a writing one which is Quill Culleton, and Culleton is my mom's maiden name. So, by the way, all of those ended up being. I haven't published anything under that name though. Ended up being 12 letters. Weird. So I don't know in a numerological way. My real last name is 12 letters, and no one could ever pronounce it. So I shortened it to the first three and the last three. And then I had
Interesting.
this French girl that I dated a long time ago, and I have a nickname. My nickname is Skip. Everyone that I know well
Yeah, I saw that.
calls
I
me Skip.
saw that. I saw Skip on.
And she goes, "What's your name?" And I said, "Skip." And she went, "What? Skip? What kind of name is it that? Skip. We don't Skip. Sounds like your name should be Zit. Do you have a real name?" I said, "Yeah, I have a real name. My real name's Anthony." Ah, Anthony. Oh, that
Antony.
sounds good. Anthony.
Antony. What are you watching now?
I don't watch anything. I don't watch TV ever. I can't. It's so stupid to me. I watch these cop shows. I'm like, oh my god, really? I mean, I was so excited to do that, and now I would feel so stupid saying that. doing that. I
What
watched
about movies? I mean, do you watch
I
movies?
watched some
That's what I mean.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I liked the current. I like Colin Farrell in
The Banshee of the Inisherin?
Banshee,
That
but
was
he's
really
not.
good, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I like that. But my donkey, but he's not going to win. I don't think for it. And
No, it's too understated a film for it to, and they're all about political correct now, so it's
the
probably gonna
whale,
be that was great. I
he's going to
like The
win.
Whale.
He's going to win.
I thought that was a great movie
Yeah, it's a
as a book.
play, and so sadly,
Yeah.
if it wasn't, but it became really melodramatic after a while, and I was bored with it. But his performances was so perfect,
Yeah.
very subtle, and for the
Yeah.
best, I like the guy that played Wayman in Everything Everywhere All at Once as a supporting.
Oh,
Wow, he was wonderful.
he was great. I mean,
Yeah,
he
that
played
whole,
Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Talk about waiting, you know? I mean,
yikes. Yeah, he
I mean,
was
yeah,
wonderful.
I love that movie. I thought that was a really interesting,
Yeah, I watched it several
uh,
times. Yeah.
it just, really sits up. So yeah, no, yeah, we didn't, did you like Game of Thrones?
I read the book, Martin. I
Mm,
read
okay.
Martin's stuff. Yeah, but no, I didn't
Yeah.
watch it.
Well, good.
Yeah,
Just stop with the books. 'Cause
yeah, no,
the
that's fine.
TV series was okay, but then it
As
gets
always,
where they don't have the books. And,
it's
it's
hard, man. It's hard because your imagination is endless, and
yeah,
budgetary constraints and location and whatever.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
what are they gonna do? Bring in every single person? How did you see it? How did you see it? How
yeah,
did you see it?
yeah.
Okay, we got like nine different interpretations. How do we? You can only kind of get in that little middle ground of it. It's like
One that I hated the most, the rendition of it was "Where the Crawdads Sing." Wonderful book. My daughter
yeah.
and I read it. I shared it with a bunch of people, and it was, my opinion, a terrible, terrible film.
Yeah, it looked like they turned it into. It looked like they turned
Hallmark
it into a
movie.
Nicholas Sparks movie. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah, or a
that. It
Hallmark
like,
movie.
here's a chick that's supposed to be like a half of a wild animal who's got a like beautiful sundresses in her closet. Oh my god, it was just so retarded.
And that's
Terrible
yeah,
movie.
yeah, none of that is. I
Yeah,
just saw like the trailer and I was like,
yeah, no. I walked. Well, Book Thief was good. That rendition wasn't bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. My mother loves the Book Thief.
great book.
She thought
Yeah,
that was good. That was good.
yeah, we like books.
Good. That's one of the best things you
Yeah.
can do is read. Well, thank you, sir, so much for doing this. This has been great. How are
Well, I
you?
hope I hope I'm fantastic. Thank you. It's been like a therapy session. I've got everything off my chest there. I appreciate you. I know it's going to be probably a terribly exhaustive edit for you, but let me know where I can share it
I will.
so I can tell people, and they'll go
How
like and never even look at it because that's how the world
how
is.
that's a good cynical approach to it.
That's it.
How can people reach you?
They can't. I'm un,
Okay.
I'm unachievable.
He's on
Yeah,
Mars.
yeah. I'm nowhere around. There's no way. There's no reason to reach me. But there's no reason. I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm very excited because I did a thing 40 years ago for the BBC, and I didn't realize how big of a show it was. And I was recognized in New York 4 or 5 years ago. Somebody ran up to me and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
were you
Yeah.
this guy?" I'm like, "What?" Yeah. Well, oh man, you were brilliant in this show, and no, you should contact these people. So they're flying me into England, second year in a row, to sign autographs and meet my friends, new friends. That that's exciting to me. I don't like traveling that 9 hour
That
flight.
far.
Yikes! But once I'm there, it's amazing. It just was amazing. I said to my kids, somebody recognized me in front of them one time. My son
Mhm.
had to, it happened to both. The first time was in front of my son, and my son was like, "Oh my god, yeah, I'm so sure. All right, how much you pay this guy?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Right? Yeah, like I'm sure. What do you mean you're sure? Somebody recognize you? Like for what? Nah. Same thing with my daughter. So it happens often.
Yeah.
If we were having dinner one time, and this kid that was eating over at the house, his friend, goes, "Hey, Mr. C, ever anybody tell you look like an actor?" Nobody said anything. I go, "Yeah, yeah, I hear that sometimes." He goes, "No, I mean really. I was watching this movie. I was watching this movie, and the guy looked just like you." My son's still eating his potatoes. Doesn't even look up. He goes, "What movie was it?" He goes, "It was Bad Boys 2." He goes, "Yeah, that was him." What? The kid flipped out like it was like I was Jesus at the table. What? Really? Oh my God. Oh my God. Why didn't you tell us? My
Mm.
son was like, who cares? So they keep me humble. I come back from work, Mr. Corone, we're ready
Mhm.
for you now. My wife's like, did you take the garbage out?
I mean, but isn't that
That's
true
the
of
best
everything?
part of it.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
the best
that's
part
it.
of
You
it.
know, you get the
Yeah,
best of both worlds.
it's the best part of it. Thank you
So,
for this.
anyways,
Your interest.
thank
It
you.
was very
This
nice of
has
you.
been great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.